Hey, so when you consider the fact that the US Census Bureau estimates that the population of people over the age of 80 will nearly double from 2016 to 2025, and that the demand for senior housing is strong and is outpacing supply, you may start to wonder why the income generated from your rental properties is not as lucrative as you'd like for it to be. Well, ladies and gentlemen, and fellow real estate investors, there is a cure to your problem. So if you've been investing for more than 5 years, so let's say it's been about 3 to 5 years, okay, and you're still struggling to make ends meet, it could be time to review your investing strategy. Just making a few tweaks, just thinking outside of your typical buy box. And your typical buy box could be acquiring single family homes and renting to one tenant, or renting to a family, or buying multifamily apartment complexes and renting to several tenants. Um, and it could be that you thought that investing in real estate was going to give you the time freedom that you desired, and it just hasn't happened yet. So you may find yourself a little frustrated. Well, what I'm going to share with you today is going to take your rental property business to a totally different level, and a totally different level than what you thought or may have even considered. And in fact, I find it fascinating that most real estate investors don't even consider this one option when determining how to maximize their rental profits on their properties. What I'm going to share with you is the secret real estate investment strategy and why this one move will solve your problems. And it is called pivot. Okay, so by pivoting from a single tenant occupancy strategy for your rentals to a shared tenant occupancy strategy, your profits will increase exponentially. Okay, your profits will increase exponentially. The best way to accumulate wealth producing profits is by serving other people or solving the problems of other people. Your real estate property that only yields you about $400 to $600 per month currently is the answer, not only to your lack of profit problem, but it solves the housing problem as well. You probably didn't know that. You just need to learn how to shift and pivot and change your thought process. So, how do we tap into higher profits for our rental properties, you ask me? Well, the first way is to shift to a shared housing tenant model versus a single tenant housing model. So, what exactly am I talking about? I'm talking about renting your single family home by the room instead of renting it by the whole house. So, for example, if you currently rent your property for, let's say, $2,700 per month, and your mortgage, if you have one, is $2,100 per month, you are in profit mode, right? Of $600. Well, what if you could rent each room for, let's say, $1,000 on the low end, each room, $1,000. And let's say you have a 3 bedroom, 2 bathroom house. You could rent each room for $1,000. And now you're generating $3,000 per month, and your profit has increased to by $900. So by typical real estate investment standards, that's not too bad, right? But what if you could rent by the bed instead of just by the room? And you can fit 2 beds into each room. So keeping that same $1,000 per tenant, now let's multiply that by 2 tenants per bedroom. And you're now making $2,000 per bedroom. Multiply that by 3 bedrooms, your property now generates $6,000 per month. And you are now in profit mode of $3,900 after you pay your mortgage. Think about what you could do with an extra $3,900. And if you have more than one property that you could convert to shared housing, you can see how that significant passive income can be created, right? And here's the mind-blowing part. Let's say the tenants are all independent, meaning they can cook for themselves, they can able to come and go as they please, they can take care of themselves, they're completely independent. You don't need to do anything. But a lot of them have jobs, a lot of people have jobs they go to work to every day, but they just don't earn enough income to be able to afford to live on their own and in their own apartments. And so therefore they need to live in a shared housing situation. And then today's real estate climate where the cost to rent an apartment is astronomical in conjunction with the high cost of living, it is becoming increasingly more common for co-living arrangements or shared housing arrangements to exist. Okay, so folks, this is the best kept secret that nobody is talking about, simply because they are unaware, or it could be that they have a negative connotation of what they think shared housing is. Because in the industry, shared housing can also be known as boarding homes. And most people think that boarding homes are filled with vagrants and alcoholics and drug addicts and all manner of ill-mannered folk. Okay? But no. And while that's not the case, now while sober living houses and transitional housing do exist and they are needed, that does not have to be the demographic of people that you serve or that the people that you will rent to. You are in complete control of the tenants that you rent to. So another way to tap into higher profits is by renting to the senior population. There is a huge demand for housing for seniors and veterans. And in some cases, the rent that can be commanded is even higher. So I bet I lost some of you there, right? Does the thought of renting to someone that is a little bit more wise scare you? Well, here's another secret that they don't tell you, okay? You may be thinking that it's an assisted living facility. It is not. That's not what I'm talking about. And so let's go back to what a senior is. A senior is someone who's age 65 and up. And if they're able to walk, talk, feed themselves, shower themselves, cook for themselves, they can rent a bed in your home. Don't judge them just because they're old, okay? Especially if they are under the care of a healthcare provider, like a home health provider or palliative care. And all that means, folks, is that they may receive some assistance from their healthcare provider, like a shower aide or a nurse that comes by to check on them to make sure that they are doing okay. Now, I'm not saying that you are their healthcare provider or that you have to take on any special liability for their healthcare. That's not what I'm saying. You're just their landlord. They just happen to receive care in your home, but you're not their provider. What I'm saying is that these types of situations can command a higher rent. So let's say now you can command $2,500 per bed, and now you're making $15,000 per month gross, or $12,900 after you pay that mortgage. What could you do with an extra $12,900 per month for a home that essentially runs itself? So why is this pivotal real estate strategy such a best kept secret? I have no idea. But I do know that bad news travels around the world at the speed of light, but good news is kept under lock and key. And I do know that I just changed the trajectory of your life by not gatekeeping. I have a moral obligation to tell you, you have a moral obligation to yourself to live your life and live it abundantly. That's in the Bible, folks. Life is also more fulfilling when you serve others. And folks, our seniors and our veterans and other individuals in our community, they need you. They really do. And if you serve people at a high level, they'll be willing to pay you at a high level. Okay? So if you're willing to pivot, your profits will soar exponentially and you'll be able to live the life based on the four freedoms. Okay? What are the four freedoms? They are the freedom of time, the freedom of money, the freedom of relationship, the freedom of purpose. You know, now that profit is not an issue, you can start to focus on what is your purpose. Bringing in higher profits on your rental properties by pivoting into shared housing will create also generational wealth, all while you're doing good in the community. And that's a win-win in my book. So folks, if you like this free game that I just gave you, hit that like button below, subscribe to my channel to be notified of other game-changing life business hacks. Okay? Until we speak again, y'all be blessed out there. Do good in the community.